All rise. The Prosecutor Specialist Chambers is now in session.
Be seated. Madam Court Officer, please call the case.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. This is case KSC BC 2020-06, the Specialist Prosecutor versus Hashim Thaçi, Kadir Veseli, Recep Salimi, and Jakub Krasniqi.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I note that the accused are all present in court today. Judge Barta will follow the hearing via video link for personal reasons. Today we will start hearing the evidence of prosecution witness W04240. Before we do, I recall that this afternoon we will have a break between 2:30 and 3 p.m. and we will resume from 3 to 4:30 p.m. for the last session. In addition, there is one clarification for the record. The panel notes that exhibit number 1D00188 was erroneously assigned twice. First, U001-4078 to U001-4080 /U001-4078 U001-4080 ET was marked for identification on 4 September 2024 as ID 00188, and I refer to transcript pages 19628 to 19629. Secondly, SPOE 003055948 was admitted on 16 September 2024 as 1D0188 at transcript page 19732. The panel authorizes Court Management Unit to assign the next available ID number to page SP0 E003059-48. The panel will deal with the admissions of 1D00188 MFI in due course. Madam Court Officer, if you can assign that number.
Thank you, Your Honor. Page with the ERN SPOE 00305948, previously admitted as 1D00188, will now be assigned new exhibit number 1D00195.
Thank you very
Thank
much. Madam Court Officer, please bring us into private session to protect the identity of the witness.
Your Honors, we are now in public session, and I can confirm that the protective measures have been removed, and from this point on, witness will testify without face and voice distortion. Thank you.
Thank you. Witness, the court usher will now provide you with the text of the solemn declaration which you are asked to take pursuant to our Rule 141, Paragraph 2. Take a look at the document and then read it aloud.
There's no need. Can I read? Conscious of the significance of my testimony and my legal responsibility, I solemnly declare that I will tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and that I shall not withhold anything which has come to my knowledge.
Witness, today we will start your testimony, which is expected to last approximately 2 days. As you may know, the prosecution will ask you questions first, then the defense has the right to ask questions of you, and members of the panel might also ask questions of you. The prosecution estimate for your examination is 2 hours. The defense estimates that it will need 7 hours. As regards each estimate, we hope that counsel will be judicious in their use of their time. The panel may allow redirect examination by the SPO if conditions for it are met. Witness, please try to answer the questions clearly with short sentences. If you don't understand a question, feel free to ask counsel to repeat the question or tell them you don't understand and they will clarify. Also, please try to indicate the basis of your knowledge of facts and circumstances that you will be asked about. In the event you are asked by the SPO to attest to some corrections made regarding your statements, you are reminded to confirm on the record that the written statement, as corrected by the list of corrections, accurately reflects your declaration. Please also speak into the microphones and wait 5 seconds before answering a question, and then speak at a slow pace for the interpreters to catch up. During the next days while you are giving evidence in this court, you are not allowed to discuss with anyone the content of your testimony outside of the courtroom. If any person asks you questions outside this court about your testimony, please let us know. Please stop talking if I ask you to do so, and also stop talking if you see me raise my hand. These indications mean that I need to give you an instruction. If you feel the need to take a break, please let us know and we will accommodate that. We proceed now with first with the questions by the Special Prosecutor's Office. They're seated to your left. Please give them your attention. Mr. Potch, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor, and good afternoon, witness.
Good afternoon.
Again, I'm James Potch, a prosecutor at the SPO, and as the judge said, I'll be asking you questions for the next 2 hours or so. Before I ask you for some of your personal details, I know that, as explained during your preparation session last week, rather than asking you questions concerning every relevant issue you may have information about, it may be possible to admit your prior statement containing such information into evidence. And in order to do that, there is a number of procedural steps to follow, which I'll turn to after we establish your identity. Could you please state your name and surname?
Fadil Ghezi.
Fadil Ghezi.
What's your date of birth?
19th March 1961.
Kosovar.
Kosovo.
It's 053034-TR-ET, Part 1, Red 2, side by side with the Albanian version, which is the same ERN but 80 instead of ET. And I'd like to look at the first page of both, please. Witness, do you see two documents on your screen, on the left in Albanian and on the right in English?
Po,
Yes, yes.
You can see they refer to an interview of yours with the SPO on 18 September 2018. Do you recall meeting the SPO for an interview on that day and on the following days?
po,
Yes, that's correct that we met.
And just for the record, this and any other item I use today, unless I say otherwise, can be for public broadcast. And witness, and I also note for record, the interview on the screen has 8 parts. Witness, do you recall that you made certain clarifications and corrections to your SPO statement following your review thereof last week?
po.
Yes, we did. There were some minor omissions, a letter here and there, which would have, however, changed the entire meaning of a particular sentence.
Can be taken down from the screen. And witness, do you recall the clarifications and corrections being included in a note and that note being read back to you last week?
Po,
Yes,
Subject to the clarifications and corrections in that note is the information you provided in your SPO statement accurate and truthful to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I vërtetë vetë
true and only true.
Subject to the clarifications and corrections in that note, does your SPO statement accurately reflect what you would say if you were examined about the events recorded therein?
sakt këtu
Correct. And now I'm here for that.
Of the Spire statement, which has 8 parts and the 3 associated exhibits, the relevant ERNs of which are set out in our 17th October 2024 email and an Annex 1 to Preparation Note 1, we also seek admission of that Preparation Note 1, which is 123191-123201.
Any objection?
Subject to the objection to the associated exhibit previously made in writing, we have no additional objections.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
05034-TR-ET in 8 parts plus the Albanian. RED2 is admitted.
Your Honor, document with the ERN 053034, Part 1, English and Albanian, will be assigned exhibit number P01740.1. Part 2 will be assigned exhibit number P01740.2. Part 3, Albanian and English, will be assigned exhibit number P01740.3. Part 4 will receive number P01740.4. Part 5 will be assigned exhibit number P01740.5. Part 6 will be assigned exhibit number P01740.6. Part 7, P01740.7. And finally, Part 8 will be assigned exhibit number P01740.8. They're all classified confidential as confidential at the moment.
It can be public.
Thank you.
Reclassified as public.
Thank you, Your Honor.
123191-123201, which is the prep note, is admitted.
The preparation note will be assigned exhibit number P01741. It's currently classified as confidential.
The associated exhibits will be admitted. As to the objected matter, it goes to the weight of the exhibit, but not its admissibility, and will be admitted. All 3.
Associated exhibits, Your Honor, as tendered by the SPO are the following. 053035 to 053047 Albanian version and its corresponding English translation with the ERN U0008075 to U0008089 will be assigned exhibit number P01742. My understanding is that there is an additional page to the Albanian version that is missing, which was also tendered.
Yes, correct, and that was accepted in principle in the decision, and that is U000-8071-U000-8089, pages 8077 and 8078. And I also would like to note that as set out in our preparation note and email, the English version is -ET revised.
Yes. I propose that the additional page be assigned the same number as the Albanian original and the translation with the point 1. So P01742.1. The second associated exhibit is SPOE 000-82472 to 000-82472, and its corresponding English translation will be assigned exhibit number P01743. And finally, the last associated exhibit with the ERN SITF 00265515 to 00265516 will receive exhibit number P01744. All associated exhibits are currently classified as confidential, as well as the preparation note.
They can all be public, thank you.
Thank you, and just for the record, all of the associated exhibits are therefore, sorry, all the associated exhibits are admitted in accordance with the prima facie standard of 138.1 and 154. Go ahead, Mr. Koch.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Your Honor, in the email I referred to earlier, the SPO submitted a proposed summary of this witness's now admitted Rule 154 statement. We've not received any objections, so with your leave, I'll read that now.
You may go ahead.
The following is a summary of the Rule 154 statement which has now been admitted in relation to this witness. The witness fought during the war and occupied various positions within the LDK, including as a member of the LDK presidency in Skenderai. The witness provides information on the LDK's foundation, structure, membership, and activities, and the relationship between the LDK and KLA, including threats and attacks by KLA members against LDK members. The witness's evidence includes information concerning his knowledge of the authorship of the October 1998 KLA General Staff Communique 59, which labeled the witness's brother, Gani Getsi, a collaborator, and the negative impact and consequences of this communique on the witness, his family members, and others. The witness also provides information regarding Hashim Thaçi and Recep Selimi threatening Tahir Zemai, the arrest, detention, and mistreatment of Kosovo Assembly representatives in or around Shiraz in September 1998, and the arrest, detention, killing, and/or other mistreatment of LDK members and other individuals, including Seidi Kotsa, Enver Maloku, Hakim Meri, Jakub Kastrati, Tsen Desku. The witness also provides information about his interactions with and/or knowledge of KLA members, including Recep Selimi, Hashim Thaçi, Jakub Krasniqi, Selaman Selimi, Samil Ushtaku, and Sabit Getsi. And that concludes the summary. Witness, do you know Majun Smiley?
Yes, I knew him after the war.
Është një personalitet një
He was a reporter during the war, a good guy.
I'd like to call up P00934. which is U003-8815, U003-9043, and at the first page, please. Thank you. Witness, had you seen the document on your screen now before I showed it to you last week?
Bara helt förekommer.
I saw it for the first time last week. I hadn't seen it before.
I'm going to show you some pages from the book and ask you some questions. And could we please turn in this Albanian version to page 8854? And side by side with that, call up U003-8854, U003-8855 at page 8854. And in the Albanian, we can zoom in on the image and the caption below it, please. Thank you, and the English can stay as it is, or scroll down a little bit, please. Thank you very much. Witness, do you recognize the image on your screen, even though it's not particularly clear?
På një.
Yes, I do recognize it. However, I do not know where he took this from. I can distinguish the individuals here, though.
And the caption refers to Besim Dayaku, yourself, Esad Getzi, and Sami Haira. First of all, is Esad Getzi your brother?
Po.
Yes,
Participate in fighting in Lausha, which is also the location referred to in the caption.
Prej ditës po.
all my brothers and my cousins were part of the war from the first days.
Dayaku take part in the fighting in Lausha?
Po. Besim Dayaku ka.
Besim Dayaku was constantly in war until after the war, when he was killed by some forces that are now known where they came from.
And did Sami...
Ka qenë trupruja president.
He was the bodyguard of President Rugova.
Sami Haira fight in Lausha during the war?
Po.
Yes, yes.
I'd like to turn to the next page in both items, please. That's page 8855. In the Albanian, please zoom in on the top left corner, and in the English, on the top half of the document. And witness, you can see on the left on your screen in Albanian, I'm going to be reading from the English. Interpretation will also be provided to you. You can either read or listen. So here we see the following from this book. On the way to Laos, I met many armed people of different ages who were hurrying, some on foot and some on tractors, some even on horses. The streets of Laos are filled with Kele soldiers. On the slope of the mountain, not far from Prekas, I met Fadil and Esad Getzi, Besim Dayaku, Sami Haira, and some others in their positions in a state of readiness, who did not allow me to go further because, as they told me, Serbian forces were retreating due to the resistance put up by Shaban Yashari and his family. But the village remained surrounded by many Serbian forces. Here I learned that 2 girls from Shaban Yashari's family were wounded in the war with Serbian forces. A part of Serbian forces, while retreating in the village of Klineje Poštme, as a sign of revolt, killed Hisen Mangjoli from Mikushnica while he was going to work. Now, witness, the author mentions meeting you, Esad Getsi, Besim Dayaku, and Sami Haira on the slope of the mountain not far from Prekas. Could this be where the photograph was taken, the photograph that we just looked at?
Po është e mundshme
It could be. But, Your Honors, I am a person who all these major processes that unfolded in the Nisa region went through my house, and I waited for the moment to present this to the entire world. I don't know how many news journalists and reporters came by. One of them was this one whom I did not know at the time.
And witness, Shaban Yashari is mentioned in the excerpt I read to you. Do you know who he is or who he was?
Shaban Yashari
Shaban Yashari is the father of the 2 legends of the Yashari family. So this is the second attack on the Yashari family. This was the second attack which resulted in the killings in Klinen Mikushnic. So this is what is described by the reporter here.
Did that second attack take place? What month and year, if you know?
po që ka qenë diku unë
This happened, I've given the dates publicly. This was in January 98, I think. I might be wrong with the dates, though.
As mentioned here, Serbian forces retreating from Lausch due to the resistance put up by Shaban Yashari and his family.
e nderuara gjykat
Your Honors, these 2 villages, Lausch and Prekaz, we never knew which one was being surrounded, Lausch or Prekaz. They were either both or one of them surrounded. And people from both villages would support the other side. The Serbian forces attempted and tried to surround, including Lausch. They would mostly position on higher ground observation posts to observe Lausch.
Do you recall Hisen Mangjoli being killed by Serbian forces as the Serbians retreated?
po
Yes, that's correct. He was going to work at the ammunition manufacturer, and he was killed by the retreating Serb forces. Some civilians were killed, amongst them this person whom you mentioned.
Turn to page ending 8875, and next to it, let's please call up the English translation, which is U003-8875, U003-8875 ET. In the Albanian, let's zoom in on the 3rd paragraph on the left, and in the English on the 3rd paragraph, please. Yes, thank you. And witness, I will be reading in English. What I read corresponds to what you have on your screen in Albanian from the words, and I'm sorry about my pronunciation, Pasi per fundova. So, at around 3:30, after I finished reporting on today's events, Hamid Krasniqi told me to meet with KLA military leader Fadel Gezi from Laos, who, as Hamid said, is looking for a trusted person that would help him cross the village of Dushiak of Jakova through the villages of Lugu i Tersenik, Drini, Lugu i Lashanit, and Lugu i Baranit, something I accepted willingly. At around 7:30, through the villages of Kernitse, Yashanitse, Koplichigashit, and Rashanitz, I arrived in the village of Laush. There, I was stopped by some KLA members, who, after looking for my name in a list, asked me about the purpose of my visit. In the list, I saw 2 names high in the KLA. Witness, do you know Hamid Krasniqi mentioned here?
Unë nuk e di Hamid Kras.
I don't know what Hamid Krasniqi told the reporter. What I know, however, is that Ismet Thaçi was a great person. I knew Hamid Krasniqi, but I had close relations with Mr. Thaçi. He was the chairman of the branch in Klina, and I asked Ismet to find people to make some movements in that direction.
When you say that direction, are you referring to the direction mentioned here, the village of Dushkayes and there around?
Jo në drejtim të vijës kufitare për të Shqipërisë.
In the direction of the border with Albania, Isnich. That's the direction I took. The border with Albania.
Refers to you looking for someone to help you cross the villages of Dushiakes, Jakova, and others. Is that one of the villages you would have to cross on this occasion?
Po ishte rrugë, njëra prej rrugëve.
That was one of the roads that you could take to pass through that part. I was not familiar with the terrain and could easily come across Serbian forces.
To be clear, to your knowledge, was Hamid Krasniqi taking part in the fighting in 98 or 99?
Edhe një herë,
I'll repeat, all these activists were at the service of the war. All activists, including the chairman, they were at the service of the war to the best they could. I'll take my municipality, Skanderai, as an example, from 63,000 inhabitants, and I had them all noted in a notebook for the referenda during the second and third elections. There were only 3 families that were outside our control.
Information to provide, but I ask you to limit your answers to specifically what I'm asking about. If I would like further detail, I will certainly ask you for that. And this, you're wanting to cross, as you mentioned, these locations. Do you recall roughly what month and year that would have been?
me njëherë mas
Immediately after the attack on Prekas, sometime in May, my brother, in the beginning of May, went to Albania, the eldest brother, Halil. He went to the Ministry of Defense, Ahmed Krasniqi's ministry, and he was one of the founders of that ministry.
To understand my question, I'll ask it again. You're looking for someone to help you cross the villages mentioned in the excerpt. When were you looking for them? What month and year?
që kanë 98
It was in 1998, in May, beginning of May.
It says that when he arrived in Lausha, he was stopped by some KLA members who looked for his name in a list and asked him about the purpose of his visit. Do you recall such checks taking place in Lausha, including in May of 1998?
po shiqeni
Look, that was sort of improvisation. We were just pretending as if we were checking things because there was nothing to check.
Okay, and Your Honor, I seek to admit these two English translations into evidence. I note for the record that the book, P934, according to our information, is admitted only insofar as English translations are also admitted. So we seek to admit the two English translations I mentioned, which are 8854, 8855, and 8875, 8875. And of course, that means we would then intend to rely on the corresponding Albanian pages within P934.
Any objection?
We have no objection.
Nothing from me.
Page 8854, page 8855, and page 8875 are all admitted. Those are part of U003-8854 to U003-8855.
Just to clarify, the Albanian range is longer. It's the whole book. So it's P934, which is U003-8815 to U003-9043.
Correct. Thank you.
Your Honor, those two translations will be added to Exhibit P0934.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. And we can take these two items off the screen. And instead, for now, I'd like to call up IT 0587 6D00067. And we can zoom out and keep this first page on the screen for now. This first page, at the bottom, it's indicated as 6D000760. Witness, there is a document on your screen. It's in English. If we could go to the top of the screen, please. Of the document, please. The document, as you could see, refers to an interview with Suleiman Selimi in 2000. Had you seen this document before I showed it to you and read you parts of it last week?
Është vetëm në version anglisht, si kum po këtu.
I had not seen these notes before. That was the first time I saw them.
And if we could go in the English to the page ending 0766, please. And then side by side with that, we'll call up the Albanian, which is SPOE 0036049 00360 page ending in 467. And we can zoom in on the top half of both of these pages, please. Thank you. Witness, I'm going to read from the English version. You can follow on the left in Albanian, and also it will be interpreted to you. In Albanian, once again, I'm sorry for the pronunciation. I will start from the first bullet point, Cilet njerëz. So, in English, and this is a question by the interviewer, Sila. Who composed the nucleus of Prekas and the other villages which would later get a military structure and spread all over Drenica? The answer, here attributed to Suleiman Selimi, Adem Yashari, Hamesh Yashari, Sahit Yashari, Sami Lushtaku, and Fadil Kodra composed the early group of the Prekas fighters. Adem was the nephew of Getsay of Lausha. Yetullah Getzi, Seidi Getzi, Shevahir Getzi, and Osman Getzi were the early fighters in Nausha. Adam was Seidi's and Yetullah's nephew. Witness, my question is, to your knowledge, is it correct that Adem, Hames, and Sahid Yashari, Fadl Kodra, and Sami Lushtaku were among the early Prekaz fighters?
På
Yes, it is correct that these were amongst the first ones, but Reja has forgotten some because Gani Getty is even an earlier fighter. The Getty family, the Getty brothers, are the first ones in all processes. With Adem Yashari, with the war, with peace, they are the first ones, the leading ones. And I'm here. You can ask me and I'll answer to your questions.
And just to be clear, then, the names that I read out to you, those did take part in early fighting in Prekaz and Lausha, but you're adding that Gani Getzi was also an early fighter. Is that understanding correct?
Ishte yonder tersen på ipari para
Not amongst the earliest ones, but the first one, the very first one.
Gani Getzi was the first one, and the other
Gani
people
Getzi,
named here
Adem Yashari.
also.
Adem Yashari was the first, and then followed by the Getty family.
Go ahead, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Your Honour. Just to be clear, it appears, without putting words in the witness's mouth, that he may be confused as to who this interview is with. If it is, as far as I understand, purported to be an interview with Suleiman Salimi, whereas I believe he made a reference to someone else.
Could we clarify that, Mr. Pach, please?
Yes, I certainly said Suleiman Salimi, and witness, I just want to be clear that the interview is here attributed to an interview with Suleiman Salimi. And then can I just ask you again that you're saying that the names of the people I mentioned were among the first to fight in Prekaz and Lausha, and you're saying your brother Gani was the first, right?
ipari fare kachin. Eller
Yes, the first. And Suleiman has it wrong there. He is misinterpreting the history. In one word, he's lying. And what I'm saying is a fact, what I'm saying here before you.
In your reading, can it be said that the third point, as important as the fighting nucleus of Drenitsa, was Achareva? And then Suleiman Salimi is purported to answer, not initially. I was a member of the group that operated around Adem, and we carried out actions that where it was necessary. Recep Salimi lived in Klina and studied in Pristina, and this way he was on the move. We can say that Achareva can be spoken of later when I came into open contact with Hisni Shabani, where I stored the arms. Then I extended my contacts with Avni Haja and the others. This group was continuously growing, up to 13 members that were organized as the UCK. They carried out guard duties in the village.
Slower, Mr. Pach.
I was always close to them. I advised and helped them. The number of soldiers grew from day to day, and they were getting organized until they managed to become a regular military unit within the 113th Brigade, which was commanded by Muir Krasniqi. And witness, the question is, in 1998, did you know or hear of a Brigade 113 commanded by Muir Krasniqi?
Una komnjoft muy kras.
I knew Moy Krasniqi. I knew him. I did not spend time with him, but I knew him and I had respect for him. So, in one word, I have heard about him.
Of a Brigade 113 that he commanded, as set out in this article.
Popoko
Yes, I had.
Nietzsche alive?
jo nokos job with
No, he is not alive. Moy Krasniqi died He fell heroically on the border as a real man.
Month and year that was when he died?
Nuk jam me data mirë.
I'm not good with dates, I apologize, but this date is public, the date of his death, of the tragedy that occurred during which Mój Krasniqi died.
And I'm going to continue reading. Abedin Reja also formed a strong group by organizing his circle. They extended it from Turicets, Voynic, and Clodomica to Runic, and such organizations later became the nucleus of the 112th Brigade, which was commanded by Abedin. Witness, the question is, to your knowledge, did Abedin Reja's area of responsibility extend to the locations I just referred to?
Nuk e kuptova pyetjen kështu mirë.
I did not understand the question. Could you please repeat it? Which locations?
Area of responsibility, to your knowledge, extend from Turicets, Voynic, Clodomica to Runic.
Po u folke ashtu që
That's what it was said. It was the beginning at the time.
And, Your Honors, I seek admission of the pages shown to the witness. In English, those are 0760 and 0766, and the corresponding Albanian page, which is the one ending 60467.
Objection?
Yes, Your Honour, there's an objection. I think this is a classic example in our submission of the need for the document to be marked for identification because the purported author is a prosecution witness. He's due to come, and he can then talk about the very document that is before Your Honours. Of course, the evidence that the witness has given is there on the record. If it was to establish KLA organizational issues, that could have been done in a non-leading fashion. But in any event, the evidence is there. And for the purpose of admitting the document itself, we would submit that the proper course is to wait for the witness who the OTP, the SPO claims, authored the document to come to give that evidence. It can be marked for identification until then.
Your Honor, if I may respond first, please. Thank you, Your Honor. In decision F01596, the panel considered that this document satisfied the authenticity criteria. The panel rejected admission in part because of the lack of prima facie probative value without further contextualization by a witness. This witness has provided the necessary contextualization, confirming or elaborating on excerpts from this interview. He was directly involved in or had knowledge of the issues addressed in the excerpts. The fact that the witness who allegedly said the words that we're discussing is on the prosecution's list is not relevant to admission. It may be relevant to weight. And if I am not mistaken, the panel has overruled such objections in the past. And in case it assists the panel in their decision, I also refer to decision F01983, paragraphs 34 to 41, in relation to the admissibility of newspaper articles attributing statements to the KLA and or the accused themselves. I can make further submissions if those are necessary.
That's enough. Thank you. Correctly stated, we have admitted documents similar to this in the past. The weight, the objection certainly goes to the weight, but not necessarily the admissibility of this document. So the document, the pages listed and noted will be admitted. You may assign numbers to them.
Thank you, Your Honor. So in English version, IT 0587 60 00067, pages 1 and 7, and the corresponding Albanian version with the ERN SPOE 00360467 will be assigned exhibit number P01745. If Council can please clarify classification, because English version is confidential and Albanian is public.
Certainly, both can be public, and to be clear, from the Albanian, the only page that should be admitted corresponding to what I read out is the one ending 0467.
Yes, I believe I read that one. Thank you.
Use 0467, correct?
SPOE 00360467.
Thank you.
And they can be reclassified as public?
Reclassified as public.
Thank you, Ron.
Go ahead, Mr. Potch.
I'd like to take these documents down and instead call up 098634-098660 side by side with the English version, which is the same ERN with -ET, and we'll first look at the first page of each, please. Thank you. Witness. On the left, you see a document in Albanian. On the right, it's English translation. Had you seen the document on the left before I showed it to you last week?
You
No, I have not seen any of the documents showed to me here before.
Now, on this page, among the many words, we can identify Lausche, Skenderaj, Drenica. Is that where you were from and where you were based in 98 and 99?
a mujt përgjigj?
May I give you my answer?
You may answer the question I asked you.
Po është publike.
It is public knowledge that Prekaz for 3 or 4 days and Laush for 1 month was at the center of awareness of the Albanians and of the internationals.
Question for now, were you based in Lausche, Skenderaj, Drenica in 98 and 99, and is that where you lived?
Po aty kom jetu.
Yes, that's where I lived, and Laush was a center during the beginning, during those first days, and that's where I received delegations from everywhere, from different parts of the world and Albania.
Try to listen to the question, just answer the question. Don't add additional material. The attorney will ask for more information if it's necessary.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Mundohna.
I'm trying, and I apologize.
And to be clear, did you take part in fighting in Lausche in 98 and 99?
Po non-stop. Na kem
All the time, we were the base there.
nivel
I was responsible for the state of Kosovo, of the Kaçanik constitution. I was a responsible person for Drenica, and all those processes went through me. And here before you, I take responsibility for everything that occurred during those processes, and I wish that others also take responsibility for the things they did.
Again, witness, with respect, you need less words to answer my question. Let's aim to do that moving forward. I have limited time with you. Do you understand?
Po?
Thank you.
Yes.
8642 in both versions. Now, witness, as you can see, the entries on this page in front of you, on the left in Albanian, on the right in English, are dated 3, 4, 5, and 6 June 1998 and refer to Lauscha. Each of the entries on the page refers to fighting, shooting, or shelling on these dates. My question is, do you recall there being fighting, shooting, or shelling in June of 1998 specifically in Lauscha?
Po, më kujtohet
Yes, I do recall, and everything in here is true.
In Albanian, if we zoom into the bottom right corner, please, there, witness, we can see reference to Lauscha Combat Zone Commander and a signature. Do you happen to recognize that signature?
shumë interesant është një nënshkrem.
It is quite interesting. I gave information through phone to the Center for Information of Kosovo and Ver Maloku, information that was passed to all other centers in the world. I don't know whose signature this is, but the words are mine because I spoke on the phone and gave all the information.
And as I mentioned, the reference above the signatures to Lauscha Combat Zone Commander, are you saying that that was you at the time in June 98, or would it have been somebody else to your knowledge?
Unë edhe njëherë me zgatë, po më
If I go too long, you say be short, but I have to explain. I was one of the persons responsible, not a commander, but person in charge. So I was in charge of this aspect. It looks something like Getty, but it's not mine. It could have been signed by somebody else. It's not my signature.
To the next page, 098643, zooming in on the top entry in both the English and the Albanian. Now, witness, this is another page. From the same item, we see that the top entry is dated 7 June 98 and refers to Serbian military forces shelling the Gecaj, Recaj, and Zeynullahu neighborhoods. Did you live in the Gecaj neighborhood referred to at this time, June 98?
po,
Yes.
Recall shelling there in the first week of June 98, as mentioned here?
të përditshme.
On a daily basis.
Let's turn to page 98655 in both versions, please. Zooming in on the right page. And witness, the entries on this page are dated 19, 20, and 21 July 1998 and refer to Lauscha. And each of these entries refers to gunfire, shelling, or attacks on these dates. Do you recall there being gunfire, shelling, or attacks at this time, so July, towards the end of July 1998 in Lauscha?
Po, më kujtohet.
Yes, I remember because I was from that area. I was there. So this is with me in my head. It was like music. We had gunfire and shelling every day. This was music to us.
At the time, in July of 1998, do you recall providing information such as that on the page before you to anyone for any reason?
Again, I was a representative for the Renisa, a person people could turn to for anything. I had been elected. And this must certainly be one of the things that I said or gave.
Do you recall whether there were other people that would have been providing information such as this at the time in July 98?
It might be. Based on the writings here, this is information I provided to the Kosovo Information Center on a daily basis. I had my personal diary, a notebook, but I do not possess it, unfortunately, anymore because it got burned down.
Admission of the whole item, which is 098634 to 098660, along with its English translation.
Objection?
Your Honours, we do object for the same reasons. We would add that the weight that could in fact be attached to such a document like this, which the witness is unable to talk to as a document. He can talk to facts. I mean, we have the evidence of that about the Serbs' attacks and the dates for that. But that comes through his evidence himself. So the weight that can actually be attached to this is so minimal that it should therefore not be admitted at this stage. If there's somebody who authored this document, as the witness has said, he had a document similar previously. If he had it, that could have been admitted, but not this one through him, when we don't have the author and any of the details of how it was created.
Your Honour, we would join that objection and also say, if anything is to be admitted, in our submission, it should only be the pages that were actually shown to this witness and commented on, not the whole book.
If I may respond briefly, Your Honour.
Yes. Short.
So the witness confirmed he's from the location referred to throughout the item and was based there in 1998 and 1999, and that he was taking part in attacks in June and July 98, as referred to in this item. He stated that he had knowledge of the attacks. The pages not specifically shown to the witness, as Your Honours will see, contain similar nature to those that were shown to the witness. And in terms of counsel for Mr. Veseli's submissions, he in fact spoke of weight. That's not what we're deciding at the time. We're deciding admission. And should that assist the panel, I also refer to this panel's decision F02644, paragraph 11, in relation to the admissibility of items when the authorship may not be known, and also in relation to admission when a witness has only commented on some, not all pages.
Thank you. My only question is, why are we entering the other pages?
Thank you, Your Honour. As I mentioned, it's because the other pages mention information similar to those shown to the witness. All the pages together are relevant to the existence of a non-international armed conflict and the KLA's organization. I could go to those pages with the witness. I submit that that would not be a good use of court time.
Mr. President, I'm sorry. I do have something I want to know for the record outside the presence of the witness, if I may.
All right, please take the witness out.
Please don't.
We just wanted to make a submission on relevance and probative value. As I understand the witness's evidence, he at this time says he wasn't part of the general staff's chain of command. He says he was under the Ministry of Defense. So we would oppose admission on the basis of relevance and probative value in terms of what exactly this is relevant to then, if that's the witness's evidence.
May I respond, Your Honour? Thank you, Your Honor. Regardless of who the witness says he was fighting on behalf of, that does not detract from my submission as to the relevance of this item, which would be the non-international armed conflict and the Kaler's organization. There is also other information provided by the witness in his now admitted Rule 154 statement and his preparation notes concerning the fighting of KLA forces and the fighters of the Ministry of Defense.
Okay, I have no doubt about the relevance of this material because of the armed conflict, but I do not see any reason to introduce the other pages that have not been identified, and we don't know what they're about. We have no idea. So we will admit the pages that were mentioned, and that's all. I want to list the pages again.
Yes, the pages mentioned are the following, which are 098634, 098642, 098643, 098655.
Yeah, those enumerated pages are admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Those pages, English and Albanian version, will be assigned exhibit number P01746. The current classification is confidential.
It can be public.
Reclassified as public.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Potch. Thank you, witness. We will proceed now. Go ahead, Mr. Potch.
Thank you. And can we take this document down and instead please call up 098249-098291 side by side with 098249-098291-ET, and in both please show page 098264, and let's focus on the right hand side. Thank you. And witness, I'm going to, first of all, have you seen this document before I showed it to you last week?
No, I had not seen any of these documents. I saw them for the first time when you showed them to me.
I have a few questions. The problems faced by the Emergency Council were discussed in a meeting at the Elementary School of Lauscha on 5 June 1998. The meeting elected the new Emergency Council and decided to keep the warehouse at the same location as before. Those elected in the council included Nezir B. Getzi, myself, Shaban Zirhani, Haji Getzi, Ramiz Haziri, Haji Cherimi, thus putting an end to all rumors. The situation with the collection of aid only got worse as the aid was reduced to a minimum, bringing up the issue of closing down the warehouse. However, an urgent intervention with some supplies remedied somewhat the alarming situation. We also contacted the council at municipal level and discussed the very grave situation we were in. Witness, we see this refers to an emergency council. Are you familiar with such a body in 98 or 99?
I am seeing this document for the first time. However, everything went through my house, to my family.
Okay, could you answer the question, which is, were you aware of an emergency council in 98 or 99?
There was, because we were in an extraordinary situation, and we set that up. I did. With the chairmanship, the LDK filled state functions at the time. We were a party, but not only, because we held elections, a referendum, and conducted other business. We filled in state functions in that sense.
Everything went through my house, my family. Could you tell the judges where this emergency council was based in June 98, the date or the month referred to in this excerpt?
The emergency council had its seat in my house.
And in this excerpt, we see a reference to a meeting in June 98 and the decision to keep the warehouse of the emergency council at the same location. Do you know why there would be a need for a decision to keep the location there at your house?
Things were already starting to become a little bit unstable. That at that point became known there were two directions, two organizations. But up until that moment, there was only one organization, and we were all together.
And can you clarify for the judges what two organizations you're referring to now? Just the names?
I need to clarify, and I apologize if I'm being too long. The state organization, the protection of the Constitution and the war within our system, the one that was in place, was one direction which was embraced by everybody. 99% of the people of Kosovo were united. After the Yashari events, a group from abroad came in, represented by some of the people who are here and some others who were inside the country, and they divided the population. They saw dissent because there were two groups in Kosovo. There was a group who was for a state and another group who was to seize power. The group who was acting in favor of a state and state institutions was me with Ibrahim Rugova as a leader, and the other group who was there to seize power was the group including these people who can themselves explain their actions.
Group you're referring to?
The other group is the LPK group, the Marxist-Leninist organization with its seat in Russia. And the other group is the LDK group with its seat in the United States. The first group called the United States an enemy, and we viewed and thought that it was only the United States, the European countries, and God that could liberate us. I personally support, obviously, this group.
Organization, you need to limit yourself to that name. I will ask for further detail. And going back to my question, do you have any idea why, as reported here, there would need to be a decision to keep a warehouse in your house? Do you know why?
Our impact, our influence was huge in that area, in that environment, and there were people who did not like that. So they had a different agenda. They made attempts to remove it from our house.
The emergency council from your house.
These were the people of the LPK, who then later claimed to be the head of the KLA, just the head, without no members. So these were the people.
Do you have any knowledge about any specific instance when anyone from the LPK stated or asserted that the warehouse should be moved?
Men vi säger att jag var
A conversation that occurred. The very fact that this conversation occurred, it's an indication of where it came from. And this became clear after 99. After the Ashari family, they tried to liquidate us, our brother, and remove our influence, peddling lies and manipulations.
If you recall any...
And through the Communique 59.
My question is whether you recall any specific instance when anyone from the LPK stated or asserted the warehouse should be moved. If you don't recall, you can say so.
Under ni här
Again, there were some people from Pristina holding conferences who were pretending to teach us, people from the OMLK, a Marxist-Leninist movement. Their attempts were to remove this from Laos and set it up with their own people somewhere. And this is when the division started in Kosovo with these people. Our group tried to keep it together in the interest of the state. This was the advice given by the President Ibrahim Rugova. 1,000 men can be killed on one side, but no man can be killed on the other side, because this is what Serbia wants. And there will come a day when these people will be covered in shame and their children will be covered in shame. We must show patience and self-restraint. This is what we did, and I feel good about it.
As I've said many times now, you need to answer my question. I will ask for further detail. The judge will not give me additional time if I need it, or he may not give me when I ask for it. Please answer my questions, and those alone. Do you understand?
Yes. I apologize because sometimes you're asking for clarifications and I have to clarify. If you permit me to clarify, then I will clarify.
My learned friend, but I'm noticing that sometimes the interpretation continues after my learned friend starts asking the next question. And I think on that last answer, I'm told we missed a passage from the Albanian, which was that the witness said that those who wrote Communique 59, we should make the blood analysis and it will result that they are not Albanians. So I just ask for a pause to be taken.
Thank you. Please, Mr. Pacha, I know you're trying to struggle with this witness's answers. Please try to give a little pause before you ask your next question.
Certainly. Witness, in your answer, you refer to people from Pristina and conferences in relation to...
I agree.
In relation to the request or suggestion that the emergency council be removed from your house, could you tell the judges if you know the names of any such persons that were suggesting this move of the emergency council from your house to elsewhere?
Yes. There are, as I mentioned earlier, a number of conferences held in Pristina by representatives of the...
Just answer the question.
If you know, what is the name of people at such conferences stating the need for the move from your house to elsewhere for this council?
This was said by Gani Koci. They're a representative in Pristina.
Whether Jakub Krasniqi ever made any similar public assertions?
Your Honour, I object to leading.
Your Honour,
Jakub,
it's an open question.
Overruled, go ahead.
Jak,
Jakub Krasniqi called us in Laush from Pristina every day saying, "May God help you. God bless you. God bless you." So we were at war. And at some point he came to us and saluting with a clenched fist, and he just ended up being a leader. He would call us through the landline every day, perhaps not every day, but whenever he could, and he would say, "May God help you." And that was enough. It was a good word. God helped us.
Witness, the document refers to emergency council members, including Nezir Bigetsi, Shaban Zirhani, Hashi Getsi, Ramis Haziri, and Hachi Cherimi. Do you know whether these were indeed members of this council?
Yes, they were all the best young men of the village who performed their duties and tasks honorably in war and during the emergency-related tasks. Haji Getsi was also my brother was also the chairman of the sub-branch there.
Your Honor, we seek to admit this one page into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
Your Honour, I would object on the same grounds without repeating that again, but also to indicate that the evidence that this witness has given could have been elicited with open questions, just focusing on the emergency council. No need to refer to the document. If there's somebody who authored this document or knows something about it, they could be asked about that at the appropriate time. So it's just a question of in our submission, how it could be presented more rationally.
And Your Honour, in relation to this document, we'd object to relevance of this page.
Thank you, Your Honour. In relation to the suggestion as to rationality, I know that the witness addresses the Emergency Council in his now admitted Rule 154 statement, albeit not specifically in relation to the matter addressed. In terms of relevance, it is clearly talking about an LDK institution, and there is an implication of a need to move this away from then. And you heard the witness himself say that the institution mentioned here was in his own home. He's aware of persons making public statements about the need to move this away from over there. So it is certainly relevant to the LDK's activities at the time and the LDK and KLA relation.
It is relevant, and it will be admitted 098249 to 098, I'm sorry, page 098264, plus the English translation is admitted.
Your Honor, that page in English and Albanian will be admitted as Exhibit P01747. Current classification is confidential.
It can be public for that page.
Reclassified as public. Go on.
Thank you.
Witness, court officer, the document can be taken down. Witness, you've mentioned Gani Kotsa. Do you recall Gani Kotsa ever visiting or staying at your family home in Lausha?
Po,
Yes.
pas konferenca
After the press conferences in Pristina, Gani Kotsi is a distant paternal uncle of my father. And Gani and Besim Dayaku met with my brother. So they came to Lausch to see if Lausch was in danger. And since we're talking about the divisions, he said to him, "You will stay with us tonight."
Saying you will stay with us tonight, and to whom?
Besim Dayaku,
Besim Dayaku told to Gani Kotsa and Gani Getzi, my brother.
What month and year, if you remember, did Gani Kotsa visit or stay at your family?
to yan mas
This was after 98, the emergencies and the beginning, and all this talk about the LPK taking control. They wanted to move aside and sideline Lausha from these processes and continue with their own plan.
Did I understand correctly that it was after 1998? So are you saying it's in 1999 or something else?
yo not te
98. March, April, May 98. Some people were still not really integrated within the LPK. They were still in Pristina, but they were making attempts to take control of the presidency or of the head of the LPK without having any members, just like they did with the KLA.
In terms of timing, was this Gani Kotsa staying at your house before or after Communique 59 was published?
yo para sector
Before, because these started shortly before. So this was before Communique 59. March, April, May, June. This was a period of time. This war of sowing division and was before. Before that, we were completely unified and united, 99% of us.
Yes, well, we can break here.
Witness, we'll give you a half-hour break at this time. We'll be back in court at 2:30, or at 3 o'clock, I mean.
Your Honor, while we're still here, I do note that I'm likely to request some more time for the examination of this witness. I had requested 2. I already can estimate that I need at least an additional half an hour, hopefully not more, but I can cross the bridge when I come to it.
Thank you. We're adjourned until 3 o'clock.
All rise. All rise.
Be seated. Mr. Patch, we're conscious of your request for additional time. We'll rule on that later. We'll see where we get before we make that decision. Please bring the witness in. All right, Mr. Getchy, we will continue now with the questions from the SBO. Go ahead, Mr. Potch.
Thank you, Your Honor. And witness, before the break, you told us that Gani Kotsa had visited or stayed at your house before Communique 59 was published. Do you recall whether any KLA members came to see Gani Kotsa while he stayed in your family home?
Po,
Yes, I recall it very well, as if it happened today.
And who came to visit him?
gjithë Recep Selimi,
Recep Selimi, Hashim Thaçi, the son of Haji from Broj, and others which are not important as names.
Were you personally present when Recep Selimi visited Gani Kotsa while Gani Kotsa was at your house?
jo Ganiu, vllau ka qenë pra.
Not Gani, my brother was present. I was present when Hashim Thaçi came.
I'm not sure I understand the answer. My question is whether you were present when Recep Selimi visited your house.
Jo,
No, I wasn't. I personally was not present. I don't remember being present. I remember Hashim Thaçi arriving and that I spoke to him directly.
How do you know that Recep Selimi visited your house?
na kena biseduar me vllazën,
We talked amongst ourselves, the brothers, and Gani told me that Recep came.
Did Gani, your brother, tell you anything else about Recep Selimi's visit to your house?
nuk e kam pyet në detale.
I didn't ask him for details, but he said one thing to me.
I ka thonë që unë
That Recep told him, I am Recep Selimi, a big name.
kurse Ganiu I ka thonë
And Gani replied, I am Gani Getty and just leave, go away from here.
Turning to Hashim Thaçi being at your house, which you say you were present for, what, if anything, did Hashim Thaçi say during that visit to you or in your presence?
po më kujtohet mirë.
Yes, I remember it very well.
Now, what did Hashim Thaçi say to you or in your presence, if anything, during this visit?
Kur jam hyon,
When I entered, he was telling them that he had not been in a party, political party, and I said to him, you were for a week chairman of the youth forum of the LDK in Skenderay. And he said, I lied. I said to him, you lied. You were a liar then, you are a liar today. Everything that comes out of your mouth is a lie.
për dore,
He took me by the hand, if I may explain it in more detail. I can keep it short as well. And so he took me by the hand and we went outside.
dhe unë ja nuk e kuptoj.
I could not quite understand what was going on. I have said this there, but I will not be long here.
Nuk besoj.
It's in your materials. I don't think it's necessary for me to go into details. If it is, I will.
Witness, perhaps it would help to clarify, in your prior statement, you mentioned an incident when Hashim Thaçi, I believe, kissed your hands. Is this the same incident you're discussing?
Po kjo është e vërtetë.
Yes, that is true. I had never heard of a man kissing another man's hand. I didn't want to mention it here, but yes, it is true. This is what happened. And I've stated here on a couple of occasions before that it is true. He is here and he can confirm that.
You mentioned Hashim Thaçi was talking to someone when you entered. Who was Hashim Thaçi talking to before you and him had the exchange you just described?
Unë be ata stafin aty që
The staff there, whoever was present there at the time, that is not of any importance. People who were there before I arrived. There was some people from our people there. But what I do remember is my direct confrontation with him. And that's where I saw, Your Honors, and whoever is listening to us, that a person who does such a gesture is a dangerous person for the Albanians and for everybody else. And I did not understand that at the time.
U002-3545-U002-3558, side by side with its English translation, which is the same ERN and -ET. And on both, I'd like to go to page U002-3550, please. Witness, had you seen the page on the left-hand side before I showed it to you last week?
edhe një herë.
Again, I'll repeat, more than 90% of this material is something that I have not seen before. Much has been written about me, which I was not aware of, but thank you to those who wrote, and it is in the interest of the entire population of Kosovo and of the Albanians in general, that I was representative of the state.
To read from on 25 April, you can follow in Albanian or you can listen. On 25 April, I went to see Abedin Reja and proposed to him to appoint Kadri Haliti as the person in charge for Kastriot. Having consulted other comrades, he turned down my proposal. This made Kadri feel despised and get involved initially with Bashkim Spahyu, Mohammed Hayreddini, Sadiq Halitai, and Mejid Halitai, who, at the time, were doing destructive work by praising the government and scorning the KLA. Kadri was not the type that would do such things, but he was manipulated by people who were under Fadıl Geçi's order. Fadıl Geçi was from Lausha, a member of the LDK, who was agitating in favor of the government, FARC, and the LDK, which had great consequences. Surprisingly enough, later on, Rushid Haliti also got involved in this. He was an intellectual who I would never associate with the pacifists, since he had been persistently against them until then. I do not know why, but upon his return from Albania, with Shaban Abazi, he joined in this activity. My first question is, do you know Kadri Haliti?
Yes, I know him very well.
Did he fight during the war?
Yes, he did.
Where?
In the area of Kastriot, a village in Skendera municipality. He's a very nice man, coming from a very nice and good family. He did his duties with honor.
Bashkim Spahyu, Mohammed Hayreddini, Sadiq Halitai, and Mejid Halitai also fought during the war?
Po edhe një herë,
Again, I'll repeat, the structure of the organization at the level of Drenica. A month before that, there was a refreshment. People were elected by vote, and these were the people who defended the state of Kosovo. Some stated that publicly, some stated that silently and did their duties silently. These were the ones who declared themselves publicly, and I knew that they were people who were active, but that was confirmed from this material that you showed me and which I saw for the first time.
You know Rushit Haliti?
Rushit Haliti është
Rushit Haliti is a professor, a very honorable and nice person, honor, doctor of science, a complete person, an all-round person.
Also mentioned in the excerpt.
po e njoh, jo shumë.
Yes, I do, not very well, but I do know him by appearance. However, I know Rushid very well.
The excerpt states that you were agitating in favor of the government, FARC, and LDK. Were you a supporter of the government, FARC, and LDK around April 25th, which is referred to in this item?
Kush ka thonë si bëj propagandë, po unë jam
I don't know who said that I was agitating. I was the main factor that initiated all the processes there in those parts. I was a representative of the state and of the referendum for independence. Who is someone who launches propaganda? Someone who supports the state or someone who works against the state? I protected Drenica and Albanians so that they would not kill each other. And this was done based on the directions given by Ibrahim Rugova. And everything that was damaging at the time, I removed it from the system in Drenica at the time.
Witness, the excerpt says 25th April, but we don't see a year. However, we also have mention of Abedin Reja. Could you remind us when Abedin Reja died?
lutem
Please, let me explain something before you. You're all professionals in your work, your honors.
Question, which is, do you remember what year or when Abedin Reja died?
Abedin
Reja was not killed officially, and I think you have to remove this from your head. Forensics, a group from ULEX did the autopsy. This is what I think as a lawyer myself.
Perhaps there was an issue with the translation. I asked you only when Abedin Reja died. Was that in 1998? Yes or no?
mu tha kur është vrarë.
What I heard was when was he killed. This is what I heard, and I explained the reality, and I apologize.
Did Abedin Reja die?
Kjo ka qenë 98
That was sometime in 1998. I already apologized for the dates. I told you that I'm not good with dates. The dates are public knowledge, though.
Page.
Your Honours, we do object. This one page starts off as referred to by the prosecution counsel with on 25 April. He correctly pointed out there was no year given, but then goes on to say, I went to see. The I, we don't know who the I is. We have no idea who has written this. The witness wasn't even asked that. He can be asked questions about what happened, but where we don't even know who is being referred to as the author, we say in those circumstances.
Understood. Can you please elucidate who wrote this? We don't know that.
Witness, do you know who wrote this?
Answer his question.
Yes. I thought more or less just like you. I, Shaban Zurani, based on the pronoun I, Shaban Zurani. Based on the I understood who was there. In his writing, Shaban Zurani mentions I, and it is known that it was him.
Thank you, witness. Your Honor, if I may respond to the
Yes, you
objection.
can. Go ahead.
I'm going to quote from F02644, which was issued last week. In paragraph 11, Your Honors held, quote, admission of a document is not conditioned by proof of the identity of the author of the document. And there's other relevant information, but I think that's enough to address the objection.
Thank you very much. U002-3545 to U002-3558 is the site. The page is the admitted page is U002-3550.
Your Honor, that page will receive exhibit number P01748. Current classification is confidential.
It can be public.
Reclassify it as public.
Thank you.
And if we can take this document down, and I would like to call up 05, sorry, this one has a P number now. So the P number is P01742. And I'd like to go to page 053038 in that, please. And side by side with that, I would like to call up the English translation, which I believe is P0142ET. Thank you. Witness, this item is discussed in your SBO interview, and in relation to the entry on our screen, you said you gave this report and someone else wrote it down. And in case necessary, the reference is to part 6 of the interview, page 24. And witness, here on the screen we see the following words: Drenica welcomes Parliament being constituted. My question, witness, to you is, do you recall yourself ever having publicly hailed the Constitution of Parliament in 1998?
Yes. And it was an honor to welcome all those who were wise and who wished the best for Kosovo.
And I'd like to turn to page 053045 within the same document in Albanian, which in English is 8087. Thank you. Let's zoom in on the bottom half of the page in both the Albanian and the English. And witness, again, this is a page from the same document discussed in your prior statement. And in the prior statement in relation to this entry, you said these were your words and that you must have given an interview at the time, and that's part 6, page 26.
Oh.
Now, witness, we see a reference to 2nd of June 1998 and to Gazzetta Shqiptare. Do you remember an interview with Gazzetta Shqiptare around that time?
Po, më kujtohet.
Yes, I do remember. I had interviews with many other newspapers. One is here mentioned, and I did give an interview, and I urgently asked for understanding and that
Abad.
and explained why I hailed the government.
I'm going to read your final answer on this page. Again, you can follow in Albanian on the screen or listen to the interpretation. F. Getzi. Finally, I would ask once again that the Assembly and Parliament of Kosovo convene as soon as possible and that everything that has gone off track get back in place so we don't look ridiculous before the world due to this self-proclaimed institution that hasn't been given a single vote of the people. We support the leadership that has come from the bosom of the people because they themselves have chosen them, and the people never are mistaken. Witness, my question is, what self-proclaimed institution that hasn't been given a single vote of the people were you referring to here?
Edhe një herë.
Again, there were two groups here. One represented by me here today, elected by the vote of the people, and the other who called the first group illegitimate and said that they were responsible. These were the members of the LDK, some of them present here. And we had to do everything that was possible to maintain the unity of the people, and we wanted to show the world that we were not fundamentalists, we were not terrorists, and I did everything I could to remove such elements from Drenica. And I did something very good that was in our general people. And this was in our interest and could only serve our interest, not that of the enemy.
Okay.
Witness, the transcript records as having said members of the LDK, some of them are present here. Is that correct, or did you mean something other than LDK?
Jo e kam për të lep.
No, I meant LPK.
Edhe kreu që I thot
Thank you,
veti.
witness.
And those who called themselves the heads of the Kele.
Can take this document down, and witness, in your SPO interview, you stated in relation to Communique 59, and I'm reading from part 2, page 13 and 14, all of Drenica got on their feet to sign statements that communique was false, such as Samin Ustaku and all of the Drenica representatives, and this is an official document. Court officer, could we please call up P00161 side by side with P00161 ET? And we can look at the first page of both first. Witness, please have a look at the Albanian on the left-hand side for a moment. And if we can scroll down. We can go down to the bottom. And now let's please turn to the second page in both items. Witness, had you seen the Albanian document on your screen before I showed it to you last week? Yes or no?
Po,
Yes, I had seen this document before. It was in the hands of my brother, Gani, who did a lot of work in this respect. And communique number 59 was like pouring petrol and putting Drenica on fire. It was ill-intended. It didn't go do good to anybody, and particularly not my family. It created a lot of hassle, and we had people who were injured as a result of it. Two of my brothers.
The signed statement about Communique 59 that you were referring to in the excerpt from your SPO interview that I read out shortly before we showed this document.
po,
Yes. This is the statement that my brother Gani kept with him. He is very pedantic when it comes to papers and keeps them. And he did serve our family and the people. And this is a testament to who wrote the Communique 59 and who, in fact, is the Gerzi family. And we still have a representative in the Kosovo parliament today as a family.
This document can be taken down, and I'd like to call up SITF 00243-024-SITF 00243-029 side by side with the English version, which is the same ARN with -ET at the end, and we'll look at the first page of both, please. Thank you. Witness, we see that this is from the newspaper Zeri, at least we will, if we scroll down to the bottom in the Albanian, please. Thank you. And we see that it's dated the 30th of October, 1999. And if we go back up, we can see that it purports to contain an interview with Recep Selimi. Had you seen this document before I showed it to you last week?
io nuk e kom pa.
No, I hadn't seen it. I heard about it.
Now, if we can please turn to the page SITF 00243028 in the Albanian, and there I'd like to zoom on the fourth column, so the last column on the right, and in English that should be at page 7, and there we can zoom on the top half of the page, please. Thank you. In the English, we need to go to page 7, please. One more. And in the Albanian, we would need to zoom out a little bit, still focusing on the fourth column I mentioned. I think that's okay for now. Thank you. Witness, I'm going to read to you from the English, and you can hear or read the Albanian. I'm reading from When We Speak. And this is from an answer attributed to Recep Selimi. When we speak about the initial Kele Corps, we must not forget Abedin Reja, Sandokan. Abedin and 3 other brigade commanders died in battle. The Drenica operational zone lost 4 brigade commanders in war: Abedin Regia, Femila Drovci, Ila Skodra, and Mui Krasniqi. The murder of Commander Sandokan is one in a series of treacherous murders. A traitor murdered Abedin Regia in an ambush similar to other cases in our history where traitors murder great men. We should not hide this fact. Hiding it would be like killing Abedin all over again. We have to tell the truth about his murder. Abedin's murder is described in the KLA Communique number 59. The communique states clearly that he was murdered by Gani Getzi. Why did he kill Abedin? Was it politically motivated? He had warned that he would kill Abedin. Abedin Regia was believed to be an important pillar of the KLA at the time, a pillar they wanted removed. That is what the people who were against the KLA said. I am referring to Bukoshi's forces, FARC, who had warned that they would kill Abedin Regia. And they did kill him. Gani Getzi killed him. We have to analyze this. Who killed him and why? In addition, who was killed? A brigade commander was killed, one of the founders of the Kosovo Liberation Army in Drenica, the founder of the 112 Brigade, a person of authority among the population. Why should we hide it? The truth should be told. Witness, you said earlier that you hadn't seen the article, but you had heard of it. Had you heard of what I just read out, purporting to be Recep Selimi's opinion on your brother at this time, October of 99?
Yes, Recep Selimi made a mistake when he wrote this, because he knows very well that this is a lie. It's an entire lie. It was convenient to him because he was an LPK representative, and he wrote this narrative. However, this is not true. It's a lie, a complete lie. The forces of Bujar Bukoshi, the government of Kosovo, were forces structured within the state institutions of Kosovo. That system we had in place.
Your brother here in October 99 is labeled a traitor who murdered a KLA commander. At this time, October 99, 1 year after Communique 59 was published, do you recall whether your brother, yourself, or your family were still hurt or negatively impacted by that communique?
Not that we suffer consequences, but we still haven't been rehabilitated completely. We still suffer some of those, and it's visible and obvious based on the Recep Selimi statement and the content of Communique 59. We still to this day suffer the consequences of that communique. My family is harmed until the entire population realizes that Communique 59 was a lie and it was defamation. Now I would want the person who peddled those lies to come here and face me. And there were people, similar families, who had values in the area of their needs and suffered similar consequences. I am, however, thankful and grateful to Recep Selimi for saying the truth and telling the name of the person who wrote the communique. So, Recep, you know that's not how things stand. You know very well that Gani Getzi is not a traitor, but rather one of the first fighters. But you had to say it at that time in those circumstances.
Don't address people in the courtroom, just answer the question.
Witness, in brief, where, to your knowledge, did Recep Salimi say the truth and name the person who wrote the communique? Or on what occasion?
Informationen kom på bas.
I saw that information when you showed me the statement of Recep Salimi. He also stated this on television, Dukajini television, that Communique 59 was drafted by an ill-intentioned person. That person is Hashim Thaçi, a person who harmed Drenica through this communique because of his personal interests and in order to sideline the Gezi family, just like Serbia sidelined the Yashari family. But he made a big mistake because this was a slave Russian mentality, mindset. And he did not know that America would step in and that he would end up one day like he's here today.
Now, let's turn to the next page on both of these items, please. In the Albanian, let's zoom in on the second and third column, so towards the middle. And in English, we can also zoom in on the middle of the page. And I'm going to read from the English witness. You can follow in writing or in interpretation. I'm reading from the subheading, "The person who murdered Abedin Reja also wanted to murder me." So witness here, what I'm going to read is attributed to Recep Salimi in the interview in October 99 we've been discussing. Salimi: I personally face danger because the person who murdered Abedin Reja organized an attempt on my life in the same location where Abedin was murdered. I survived because of their incompetence. They emptied 3 magazines in my direction, in the direction of my vehicle. There were other attempts as well. Serbia could not infiltrate the KLA for 2 reasons. It could not find people brave enough to risk infiltrating the KLA, and it was difficult to infiltrate the KLA under the watchful eye of our intelligence service. And witness, my question is, who do you understand Recep Salimi to be accusing of attempting to murder him according to this document?
Based on what you read, by the same hand, I would understand that he referred to either my family or my brother. It might be different, but I don't know. They know something, including Reja, if he had any disputes with the Gezi brothers or misunderstandings. Or Hashim knows very well if anything happened and when. They know better this. My brother knows if he appears here one day, he will tell you all.
Had you ever heard of an allegation by Recep Salimi of people who were attempting to murder him, as you would understand it, being members of your family or your brother Ghani?
I've heard of that too. I've heard that members of the government are flying. I heard that none of them would escape. And it's better than that I heard that they were not true professionals and do bigger harm to Albanians. So, as Reja says, they were not professionals and that he made it alive. I'm glad for him. Good for him. I know Reja's entire family, and they were co-activists who acted with us. His paternal uncle, his Nishabani, his Meta Rahmani, they were organized LDK activists. Hisni was a delegate in '98. and his mansion referred to by Suleiman Selimi, who was one of the founders of the KLA Nasharib. He was a delegate who took up arms at the time, and he's a good man. Both of them, as a matter of fact, Suleiman and him.
And I'm raising my hand because you're going beyond the answer, and we are pressed for time. Your Honor, I seek admission of the pages shown to the witness.
Objection.
Yes, Your Honour, I would object. As the witness stated quite clearly, he hadn't seen it before. As you know, and as the prosecution, to be fair to them, made clear, this is only attributed to Mr. Selimi. There's no evidence in relation to the circumstances in which this interview took place, who recorded it, and how it was recorded. So in those circumstances, given the importance to which a statement of the accused may be given credit by the judges, we would suggest that it is not, at this stage, possible for admission. Thank you.
If I may briefly respond, Your Honor. Thank you. I'd like to now quote from decision F01983 by the panel in this case on the 5th of December 2023, and I'm reading from paragraph 40. Quote, with regard to articles that attribute statements to the KLA and or to any of the accused, the panel notes that the hearsay nature of these items and any limitations that might bear upon the defense's ability to challenge or dispute the contents of these documents will be accounted for when assessing the weight of this evidence. The panel is therefore satisfied that the prima facie probative value of these items is not outweighed by any prejudicial effect attaching to these items. This is an identical situation we're in, Your Honours, and there is no reason not to admit the evidence, the excerpts that I just pointed to. That's just to address the objection. I can make further submissions as to the relevance of this item if those are needed.
Anybody else have anything they want to say? Yes, for the reasons you've already stated from our prior ruling, the same circumstances arise here. To be consistent, we will admit SITF 00243-024 to SITF 00243-29 and, I'm sorry, 28 and 29. Are those the two pages, Mr. Potch?
Sorry, Your Honor, to confirm, so they are pages, the first one, so 3024, and then pages 3028 and 29, yes.
Thank you. May assign the number.
And if I may add, the corresponding...
Please.
Go ahead.
If I may add, the corresponding English translation for the first page, SITF 00243024. For page 5 in Albanian, SITF 00243030. And for page 6 in Albanian, corresponding English is SITF 00243031. These pages will be admitted as Exhibit P01749. Current classification is confidential.
They can be public, thank you.
Now, witness, you had something?
Thank you.
Did you have something you wanted to say, witness?
I omitted to refer to a document shortly. In relation to this, the heads of Dranitsa, including Suleiman Selimi, it's related to
that. Yes, witness. So let's call up another document instead of this, and then I think you'll understand why there's no need for you to elaborate, but we'll see. Can we call up P00760, please? Side by side with the English, which is 760 ET.2. And can we go to page 076603? Thank you. Witness, had you seen the document on the left side of your screen in Albanian before I showed it to you last week?
Jo nuk e
No, I hadn't.
We see that it says reaction, and the first line says, to a part of the interview that Recep Selimi, Public Order Minister in Kosovo, QPK, Kosovo Provisional Government, gave to Zeri on 30th October, and then there's the title. And among the signatures at the bottom, we see the first, in the number 2, for example, Silman Selimi. You told us you hadn't seen this document with a reaction to the Selimi interview. Had you heard of this document before, the one that is on your screen now?
Po,
Yes. I discussed this personally with Suleiman Selimi. And he told me, you are right, Reg is wrong, and we will react.
falenderoj.
And I'm grateful for this reaction, which is sufficient for the public opinion, saying that every word uttered by Recep Selimi was slander, because Ganigez is not a traitor but a fighter. I'm grateful to all these men, good men of Drenica, who wish the best for Drenica and Albania in population. Recep acted in a rush, depending on the circumstances. A man can make a mistake, we have to admit, to accept that, but it's still fine.
And call up 078-549-01. And alongside it, let's also call up the English translation, which is 078-549-01-TR-ET. Now, in the English translation, I'd like to go through page 2. I'm going to start from there. And in the video, I would like to start at minute 104. And we can play this with audio, including for the public broadcast. And I would like to hear minutes 104 until minute 159. We won't call up the Albanian on screen because this is in Albanian, but for the interpreter's assistance, we're also at pages 2 to 3 of 078-549-01-TR. And just so everyone knows what's going on, it's a short excerpt. When it's done, I will read the same text into the record so everybody hears it in the relevant languages. Yes, witness, do you see a video on your screen on the left?
Po.
Yes, yes, I do.
Sorry, the court officer will now play until minute 159. Please listen, and then I have some questions.
You just said we should ask them. We've asked all of them. That's why we're asking you, too. Mr. Selimi, no, you have not asked them. You have not asked them. You have not asked Thaçi, for instance. Has he denied that he wrote the communique? Unidentified. I know, well, the reason he has apologized. Once again, did Hashim Thaçi say he did not write communique? Now let us not fuss over his exact words. I do not know his exact words. I do not know what he said exactly. Mr. Selimi, no, it's very important to know it. If he says that he was not the one who wrote them, unidentified journalist, in the context he said, he meant that he was distancing himself from that and that he had not written any of them. Mr. Selimi, this is not true. Unidentified journalist, as far as I understand, simultaneous speak. Mr. Selimi, my answer is that this is not true. Moderator, did Hashim Thaçi wrote the communique? Mr. Selimi, Hashim Thaçi.
Thank you. Witness, before I played you an excerpt from this video last week, had you seen this program or heard of it?
Yes, I heard it directly. I just turn on the TV and listen to this.
Just because it was so quick and for the record to capture it. The journalist or a journalist says, you said we should ask them. We have asked all of them. That is why we are asking you too, Mr. Salimi. No, you have not asked them. You have not asked them. You have not asked Thaçi, for instance. Has he denied that he wrote the communiques? Journalist. Yes, we asked him about the communiques. Mr. Salimi. And did he say he never wrote any of them? Journalist. He has apologized. We asked him here too. He also had his dilemma, like you. Journalist. He has apologized to Ganighetsi over communique 59. Mr. Salimi. I know very well the reason he has apologized. Once again, did Hashim Thaçi say he did not write communiques? Journalist. Now, let not fuss over his exact words. I do not know his exact words. I do not know what he said exactly. Mr. Salimi. No, it is very important to know it. If he says that he was not the one who wrote them, then, journalist, in the context he said he meant that he was distancing himself from that, and that he had not written any of them. Mr. Salimi. This is not true. Journalist. As far as I understand. Mr. Salimi. My answer is that this is not true. Moderator. Did Hashim Thaçi wrote the communiques? Mr. Salimi. Hashim Thaçi. Moderator. Yes. Mr. Salimi. He led the political department of this country. Witness, do you recall those words being said during the program that you had watched?
Yes, I heard these very well and very attentively. These bore significance for us. We inquired for a long time. I personally went to Hashim Thaçi's family in Broy after Communique 59 was drafted. I met there with
Witness, I don't mean to be rude, but as you will remember, and everybody, especially the judges, know, the incident of you going to Hashim Thaçi's house is covered in your prior statements, which are now in evidence, so we cannot repeat that now. I'm going to now ask to play from the same video, minutes 2:27 until minute.
I agree.
So the same video, minute 2:27 until 3:35. In English, we'll go to page 4, and it goes on to page 5, and it's the same in Albanian. So again, we'll play this with sound in Albanian. After we hear it, I will also read it into the record because it's another quite fast exchange.
Më shkru, po tash...
Edhe njëherë, ma gjeni regjia deklaratën e presidentit Thaçi për komunikatën e Ganighetsit.
Një emision veç për qatë punë.
Po, apo e lexojmë?
Mund me lexu çka ka thonë, zoti Selim, nëse jeni interesuar, po nëse s'jeni unë po e lexoj.
Po, mirë është. Nëse intereson opinioni që një
po. Nuk mund t'i kujtoj për të gjitha deklarimet, por mund të them se gjatë luftës, sikur që ka edhe sot ka ndodhur abuzime në luftën UÇK, zemrat e individëve saktuar janë lëshuar deklarata nga banhofet për të përçarur UÇK-n dhe për të krijuar konfuzion për të cënuar njerëzit. Domethënë ai pe hek përgjegjësinë prej tij. Edhe po thot komunikata me numër 59 është një komunikat abuzuese që nuk i takon UÇK-s, drejtori politik i UÇK-s po thot, është nxjerrë pa aprovimin e shtabit të UÇK-s nga individ keqbërës. Shaka desh me thonë me këto, ai di mas miri. Edhe thotë është lëndu luftëtari i orëve të parë të UÇK-s Ganighetsi dhe familja e tij dhe unë shpreh ndjesë dhe keqardhje pse kjo deklaratë e disa të tjerë abuzuese kanë ndodhur. Që kjo deklaratë është
mëni fjali i tij, mëni pasos ti që këtë deklaratë e ka shkruajtur një individ dashakeq, pajtohem plotësisht.
Po unë të më shkruaj.
Por ai është Hashim Thaçi.
Hashim Thaçi ka shkruar komunikatën 59.
Komunikatën 59 është hartues dhe lëshues është Hashim Thaçi.
Now, I will read the transcript of what we just heard into the record, and then I have a question for you. Moderator, Program Director, can you please show us President Thaçi's statement about the communique for Ganighetsi? Mr. Salimi, if he says he was not the one who wrote the communique in the same program on this issue, Moderator, can you read it? Journalist, Mr. Salimi, I can read it for you if you are interested. If you are not, I will not read it. Mr. Salimi, no, yes, well, we want to hear the opinion. Journalist, he says, I cannot remember all the declarations issued during the war, but just as it happens nowadays, there were some individuals then who abused with the KLA's name. Some declarations were issued from Bahnhofs to cause divisions in the KLA, to create confusion by attacking people. So he has shifted the responsibility from himself, and he's saying that Communique 59 is an abusive communique that has nothing to do with the KLA. The KLA's political director is saying that it was issued by ill-wishing individuals without the approval of the KLA staff. As to what he meant with this, he knows this better. He also said that this was an insult to Ganighetsi, one of the first KLA fighters, as well as to his family, and he expressed his apologies and regret over this declaration and some other abusive declarations like it. This was Hashim Thaçi's statement. And then Mr. Salimi, I agree only with one of his sentences, with the passage in which he says that the declaration was issued by an ill-wishing person. However, that person is Hashim Thaçi. Moderator, did Hashim Thaçi write communique number 59? Mr. Salimi, the person who wrote and issued communique 59 is Hashim Thaçi. Witness, my question is, do you recall this being said during this televised interview that you told us you had heard?
Paul? Yes. I heard this attentively. I took a deep breath. Once we understood who wrote it by name and surname. Recep Selimi knew and had the information, but he did not tell up until that moment. He should have told about it before. Thank you, Reg, for making this known. For the rest, you know. But for this, we're grateful. The Drenica region and the entire Albanian population. It's important to distinguish between lies and truths. This is a good deed that will never be forgotten. However, for the rest, an analysis and a thorough analysis must be done because the outcome is not very clear.
We seek admission of the video, the transcript, and the translation that I referred to.
Any objection?
No objection.
Objection is
Nothing
heard.
from
078549-01 plus the English translation and transcript is admitted.
Your Honor, the video transcript and the translation will be admitted as P01750. Classification is public. Thank you.
Thank you. We can take this document down, and I'd like to turn to a different document, and that is U015-8743, U015-9047, along with the English translation, which is U015-8743-U015-8935-ET revised 1. And we'll look at the first page in both, please. Witness, had you seen the document on the left side of your screen in Albanian before I showed it to you last week?
No, never before that. That was the first time.
Please turn to page 8747 in both versions. And witness, do you see here a reference to 2006 next to, in between the copyright sign and Jakub Krasnici's name? Can we perhaps zoom in a little bit on the middle of the page? Do you see that witness 2000 copyright sign 2006 and Jakub Krasnici?
Yes, I see it for the first time. I didn't pay attention to these. This is the first time I see it.
Please turn to page 8814 in both versions and zoom in on the last 10 or so lines in both of them, and I will read an excerpt. Page 8814. Thank you. That's okay in the English. and the Albanian, we just need to go a bit further down. And I'm going to read in the English from over 200,000. In Albanian, it starts ne varimin. Witness, I'm going to read, and then I have a question. This is from the same item. Over 200,000 people from all over Kosovo took part in the funeral procession held on 3 March. People probably expected KLA to make an appearance once again. The organizing committee managed to get things in order after an attempt to cause trouble by Getzi brothers from Lauscha. They also tried to sideline people of greater merit during the recent elections in the LDK branch. It was the intervention of Adam Yashari that put the proceedings of the Skenderai Council back on track. They had an unpleasant encounter with Shaban Shala, who, in spite of the threats, did not allow the agenda to be upset. Witness, my first question is whether you know which funeral procession on 3rd March attended by 200,000 people is being referred to here.
Yes, it's a first time I saw this. Jakub Krasnici is a clever person. He's a historian, and he knows that history should be recorded in the right and just manner. But here he lied. He wrote what is not true about the Getzi brothers. It is something else, and if you allow me, I will tell you what it is, what the truth is.
Answer my question, which is, do you know which funeral procession is being referred to here?
The funeral procession of the victims of the events in Lausch and Likoshan. It is a funeral procession organized by the LDK. We were the organizers of this funeral procession together with the LDK branch of Drenas, Mr. Bardi. We were the organizers. It was not Jakub Krasnici or Shaban Shala or whoever. And
the reference to 3rd of March, what year was this procession held on?
In 1998.
We saw in this excerpt, and we heard when I read it, that there is a reference to the Getzi brothers from Lauscha. Who do you understand this to be referring to?
When you say Getty brothers, it's plural, and there are 7 Getty brothers, and the 7 of us took part in that funeral. We were organizers of that event, and things got mixed up when Lulieta Pula took the floor. A representative of the Social Democrats who stated that the responsible person for this is Ibrahim Rukova, and this shocked all the people. And as I said, Jakub Krasniqi is a historian, and he should not have written such a thing because it's not true.
Can you clarify who Lulieta Pula was blaming Ibrahim Rugova for? What was she saying Ibrahim Rugova is responsible for, in brief?
At the time, the mandate of the parliament had expired 1992, 1998. And there was need for legitimacy for the people to know who they are speaking to. These were extraordinary conditions.
What was Lulieta Pula blaming Ibrahim Rugova for, in brief, in one sentence?
In one sentence, she said Ibrahim Rugova is responsible, or the person to be blamed for these killings. But this was election campaign. She was using the circumstances for the election campaign, and they should have known right then that who stood behind them. The killings by Serbian forces, they killed 4 men in a family, 4 sons of Sheremet, and it was Sheremet's reaction, a very good man from Drenica. And the population was blocked, shocked with Lulieta Pula's words, and she was removed from the stage. This is not what Jakub wrote in his book. He failed to mention this.
Let's turn to page 8846 in both documents. And if we scroll down a little bit, the English is fine, and if we scroll down a little bit in the English, witness, do you see here a mention in bold of Abedin Reja? Do you see it on your screen? I take that as a yes. Let's please turn to the next page, 8.
Yes.
And zoom in on the first paragraph in the English and the Albanian, which I will now read. During the summer 1998 offensive, when he was most needed by the Liberation War and needed at the war front, he was killed by the hand of a criminal. They killed Abed but they didn't kill his ideal, Kosovo's freedom and independence. The treacherous and disloyal murder of Abedin Reja, commander of the Arben Haliti 112 Brigade, was a great loss for the Reja family, for the 112 Brigade, and for the entire Kosovo Liberation Army. And witness, who do you understand the author of this to be attributing Recha's murder to here?
Objection calls for speculation.
Your Honor, it's not calling for speculation.
Go ahead.
Witness, please answer. Thank you.
Could Could you please repeat your question a bit more in detail?
On what I read out, who do you understand the author of this piece that I read out to be saying murdered Regia?
This is public knowledge that my brother Gani Getzi was attacked through the communiques. I have explained, I don't know if I have to repeat it again. The forensics did that part, and
all I want to know is who you understand is being blamed here for Abedin Regia's murder. Here, the one that I read to you.
the author is directly blaming my brother Gani Getzi, and not only him, but the entire family, part of which I am, and trying to represent the entire organization as criminal.
Here to the murder of Abedin Regia as treacherous and disloyal. Was your brother Gani or your family considered treacherous and disloyal before Communique 59 was published?
Before Communique 59, we were the family who led all the processes. I take myself as an example, as a person who headed the processes in the 90s. I was the chairman of the referendum. I was the first with my friends and comrades.
Witness, the question is simple. We don't need to go back to the 90s. Was Gani Getzi considered treacherous and disloyal before Communique 59 was published, to your knowledge, or that's when this started?
That started after the Communique 59, the offense against my family. Gani Getzi is the first firearm that fought against the Serbian forces, together with Adem Yashari, who was the first. In 1992, am I a criminal because I defended the state of Kosovo and the constitution of Kosovo?
Witness, Your Honor, we seek admission of these pages, which should be added to P00189, which already contains admitted pages from the book that we're addressing.
The objection? None?
No, not to those pages.
No objection.
8846 and 47 are admitted and will be added to P00189.
Your Honor, my understanding was there was one more page, U015-8814.
There were actually two more pages. So 8747 is the page with 2006 under copyright to indicate the publication. And then 8814, 8846, 8847.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Those pages will be added to the exhibit P00189. And classification, I believe, is public.
Yes, public.
Thank you.
Reclassified as public. Thank you.
And let's take these documents down and please call up 061381-061381 side by side with the English translation, which is the same ERN with ET at the end. Of course, 061381-061381, and yes, those are the correct ones on the screen. Witness, the document on the left is in Albanian. If we can zoom a little bit more on the, yes, that's good, thank you. Witness, had you seen the document on the left before I showed it to you last week?
No, I hadn't. That was the first time I saw it.
See that it appears to be a Facebook post dated 15 February by a profile purporting to be Jakub Krasnici's. I'll read the post, which is brief, and then I have some questions. Response. President of Kosovo, Hashim Thaçi, during his interview with the RTK on 13 February 2019, apologized to Gani Getsi regarding the KLA Communique 59. As he mentioned the KLA spokespersons during his interview, I considered it necessary to issue a public statement in view of the fact that he said many things that are not consistent with the reality. As the KLA's political leader, Hashim Thaçi knows very well that the communiques were not released from Bahnhofs in order to divide the KLA. If any such thing were to have happened, we would have responded at that time against any such tendency. Hashim Thaçi knows very well that no communiques containing lists of names of Ibrahim Rugova or other Albanian political activists were released on behalf of the General Staff of the KLA, because we would have responded at that time, as our fight was directed against the occupier only. Hashim Thaçi knows very well that I and many of the commanders of the Drenitsa operative zone objected the communique number 59 because it relied on inaccurate and disparaging claims regarding Mr. Getsi. I would have voiced my objection if such claims would have been made against any Albanian family. Hashim Thaçi knows very well that since 1998, all communiques were written in Kosovo, and if apologies need to be offered regarding communique number 59, they should be offered in honesty and not, as the proverbial expression goes, to throw the stone and hide the hand. Now, had you heard about Jakub Krasnici's reaction to Hashim Thaçi's apology to your brother before?
No, I haven't heard it, but it was said that these words were said by Jakub Krasnici, and I feel good about it. I feel good that he said that that was not true. This is what Jakub Krasnici should say the truth. And thank you, Jakub, for saying this. And you should say who wrote the other communiques that are a lie, that mix up people with Serbia as their collaborators, and many good people were killed for this reason.
And witness, can you clarify, do I understand correctly that you didn't hear of this specific Facebook post, but are you saying you heard that Jakub Krasnici had said this about the authorship, or am I not understanding?
I did not hear, but it was said, it was conveyed that this is what Jakub Krasnici said on TV. And on this occasion, he said a truth, and I thank him for that. It is in our interest, Jakub and you other friends, to speak the truth, to speak based on facts, not on lies.
Of this item and its translation.
Any objection?
No objection.
Your Honor, could the counsel be asked to slow down when he reads, please?
U61381 to U61381, being the Facebook post is admitted.
Your Honor, the document, Albanian and English version, will receive exhibit number P01751. Current classification is confidential.
It can be public.
Reclassified as public.
Microphone, please.
I'm sorry, reclassified as public, please.
Thank you.
The document can be taken down. Witness, do you know Rame Buya?
Po.
Yes, I know him very well. We worked together in LDK for 9 years.
Was he a KLA member in 98 and 99?
Po.
Yes.
His role or position was within the LDK, within the KLA, sorry.
Unë nuk e di, po edhe sot e kam.
I don't know, but I think that Rambuya was a wise man, a respected one, and maybe the wisest of all of their groups. Someone who really applied his brain.
Speak to Rame Buya about Communique 59.
Po, kam fol.
Yes, I did. During the first mandate as deputies, I said to him, go away, you were there and you didn't say a word about us and you know us very well.
Ka morë për dore.
He took me by the hand and led me to the office of the Deputy Speaker of the Parliament. And he said, I'll tell you something. I spoke to them. I told them, don't do it. You're wrong. And they did not listen to me. You suffered consequences, but I also suffered consequences for defending you. He knows this. He said this to me directly.
During the first mandate as deputies, what year was that, please?
Po. 2000.
Yes, it was in 2002, around that time.
Did you ever hear of the Berisha brothers, also known as the Lutani brothers?
Po, kom dëgju edhe për.
Yes, I've heard about them too.
Anything in particular about them in 98 or 99?
Kom dëgju që e kanë hup lidhjen me popullin e Kosovës dhe.
I heard that they had lost ties with the people of Kosovo and they were not in the path of God.
Can we call up SPOE 00313999-SPOE 00313999 side by side with the English translation, which has the same ERN and -ET at the end? And if we can zoom in, yes, thank you, a little in the Albanian. Witness, as you can see, this refers to the KLA General Staff and to a Communique 80. And we see a 23rd June date. Had you seen this document before I showed it to you last week?
Unë nuk e kum pa.
I hadn't seen it as a document, but I know, as I told you, from the 63,000 inhabitants, there were 3 families that were sort of out or outside the people. Perhaps it's better to say not as entire families, but individuals from those families that had another path in their mind with Serbia.
And even though you hadn't seen this communique, had you ever heard from any source that there was a communique about these brothers?
Yes, yes. I kind of summarized what I wanted to say about this family, not the entire family, but individuals, 2, 3 individuals.
So to be clear, you hadn't seen it, but you were aware of this communique's content in general.
Yes, that's correct. It's correct.
Here in the first line that Drenica Operative Zone Intelligence Service has undisputable information that up to 1995, Sami, Vebi, and Gani Lotani collaborated with the Yugoslav Secret Services and later with Yugoslav Army Secret Service in Kosovo. Had you heard in 98 or 99 the Lutani brothers being described as having collaborated with the Serbian authorities or the Yugoslav authorities?
I stated my opinion. I don't know if it's necessary to repeat it. As I said, 99% of the people were united together, and there were these 2, 3 families, certain individuals from those families that were apart.
In the third line, they were wanted by KLA, and on June the 19th, 1999, they were found and surrounded by the military police. They called on them to surrender, but they opened fire, and as a result of the gunfight, Vebi and Gani Lutani were killed, whereas Sami is still a wanted person. 2 of our policemen were wounded. To your knowledge, witness, is it correct that 2 of the Lutani brothers were killed during a gunfight with KLA military police in June 99, as stated in this item?
I don't have knowledge who, what, but I do know about this event, and I told you who these people were. If you ask me, I would have acted differently.
Press on this document, if we can move a little bit on the left in Albanian.
Yes?
In your interview, you said Kosova Press was formed the same day or the day after Enver Maloku was killed, and that the General Staff ran Kosova Press as they themselves proclaimed, and that is from part 5, page 8. Witness, is that correct, that Kosova Press was run by the General Staff as the General Staff proclaimed?
No. Yes. What I said is true, and what I'm saying here in front of you is true. A person who contributed more than we all contributed for Kosovo was killed. And it's good that this came out in Kosovo Press a day after.
And to be clear, I'm not saying it came out in Kosovo Press a day after, but your answer is taken. And Your Honor, is we seek to admit this communique and the English translation.
Any objection?
Yes, we do object, Your Honour. Your Honours have previously ruled in your decision on the SPO bar table motion of the 27th of July 2023 that this item shouldn't be admitted as it lacks the usual indicia that would enable the panel to verify its prima facie authenticity. I understand that this exact same document, which is a Wayback Machine archived printout, was produced with nothing further explaining what the source or origin of the document was. This witness has not been able to identify that this was a communique that he saw at the time. He said that he's generally aware of it. That's as far as his evidence goes. And then he gives his evidence, of course, about the substance of the alleged killings. These are alleged killings that are not listed in the indictment. That should be noted as well. But our primary objection is to the authenticity of the document not having been verified through this so-called archive internet. And we ask Your Honours to maintain your previous ruling that it lacks prima facie authenticity and to mark it only for identification purposes, so that if there is any further evidence that is relevant as to authenticate the document, that can be heard in due course.
May I respond, Your Honour?
Your Honour, we join those objections.
Thank you, Your Honour. Briefly, indeed, the reason we use this item with this witness is because of the rejection due to, as the panel stated, an inability to verify prima facie authenticity. The witness has testified he's aware of the contents of this item, which is relevant to its authenticity, and significantly, he provided information in his admitted statement, in the excerpt I referred to, as well as in court today, about the entity, Kosovo Press, that published this document, which seems to have been the sticking point in the panel's decision not to admit it. And I don't even need to say it, but the content of the item is relevant to the common criminal purpose.
Thank you. We'll mark it as MFI for now. We'll probably rule on it tomorrow. And we've come to the end of today's hearing. Witness, we're finished now with your testimony today. You'll have to be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Just a minute. Wait. Please do not speak to anyone outside the courtroom about your testimony. If anyone tries to talk with you about your testimony in court, please let us know immediately. We wish you a happy evening. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
And Your Honour, just to update from my side, if you would indulge me, I would require a maximum of 15 minutes tomorrow morning to conclude my examination.
We will give you the 15 minutes tomorrow. I have no idea what you're saying. Yeah, go ahead and announce the number.
Your Honor, just to assign MFI number to the document, it is SPOE 00313999, and its English translation will receive MFI number P01752. Classification is public. Thank you.
Anything else to be raised at this time? Could I have an update on if there's been any change on your estimates for cross-examination? Start with you, Mr. Misitich.
No change for me.
Your Honours, we did reduce ours quite substantially, and that maintains at that level, but it has been reduced already. Thank you.
No change from the update that I submitted earlier today, which was to 45 minutes, Your Honour. Thank you.
I think more like an hour and a half, Your Honour.
We'll grant you the 15 minutes, and we'll see you all tomorrow. We're adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow.
All rise.